Sports Card Nation, the hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews, it's your number one source. Sports Card Nation, the hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
All right, welcome to episode 148. As you may know, sometimes I do bring some of my outside personal life onto the show. If you're an avid listener of the program, you may know, as I shared, that the first week or very early September, I lost my job that I was at 6 years in the transportation industry. I've mentioned that last couple of years wasn't real fond of it, was kind of exploring, new employment just the same. But when it happens, it's not a fun situation. But wanted to get into the teaching industry. Have a lot of friends who are teachers, have a few other friends that are teachers' assistants, and they always were telling me I should do that. Knowing I coached varsity sports and have coached youth sports, and knowing kids are an important part of what I do and believe in. And so I went and took that teacher's assistant test, scored a 285 out of a possible 300. 300's the high, 285 is what I scored. You needed a 220 to get a certificate, so I obviously got my test certificate. And went to an open house, actually very close to where I live, about for teachers' assistants, and had actually two interviews on the same day. One with one person, and then they wanted me to speak with someone else. Liked my background, thought the interview went well. So at the time of this recording, I'm in the process. The next thing I got to do is get it fingerprinted. And then I've verbally accepted a teaching assistant position with the school, high school. I won't say which one, just to keep that sort of private. But got to get fingerprinted and then have to be approved at a Board of Education meeting. I'm told that's more of a formality than anything else. And I'll be starting maybe as early as next week at my new position as a teacher assistant, and have summers off and new direction. And I think it's going to be more rewarding to work with youth, including some special needs student. It's going to be something I know I'm going to really get a lot from it, and it's going to be a breath of fresh air compared to what I did the last 6 years. And I'm looking forward to the challenge, and look forward to working with the younger set and making an impact on a younger person's life. So wanted to share that. Very excited for that, and I'll update it until we get to that start date. One more personal thing, and I debated sharing this, but then I thought, well, it's about my dad, but he's been on the show. He's been on Dr. Beckett's show, actually 2 episodes, even though it was one recording. And some people have gotten to know him through those, listening to him on those episodes. One of the nicest guys you could ever meet. A few days ago, before this recording, he called me up. He was diagnosed with COVID. He plays in 3 bands. One of his band members got diagnosed with it and told the rest of the band that they should get tested. And so my dad went to get a COVID test, and the Doctor called him a few days later to tell him it was positive. His only symptoms were minor cold, runny nose, no cough or congestion, thank God, and got to quarantine for 14 days and then get retested. But he's doing well. He's 83 years old, raring to go still, and very fortunate we are that his symptoms are on the minor scale. We all know what this dreaded virus is capable of, but he got both his shots, and probably a good thing, and maybe that's a direct reason why he's not more affected, and thankfully he's not. He's anxious to get back behind the drum kit and play. Believe it or not, at 83 years old, he's been a drummer since he's a teenager. Plays in 3 bands. No, you didn't mishear me. 3 bands at age 83, and a couple gigs a week, but had to take a break from those while he quarantines. But the prognosis is good. Just wanted to share that, being that he's been on the show and Dr. Beckett's show as well. So he's doing all right. I actually just spoke to him before I recorded this intro as well, just to check up on him. And he's in good spirits other than a little bit of cabin fever, and so should be okay. Thank God. So enough about me and my dad. Let's talk about today's show. I've always said on this show there are 2 sides to every story. I believe in equal time. If I'm on this show and mentioning things that are being reported or allegedly happening, I've always said that that person or that organization is always welcome on as long as they're willing to talk about it. Well, Jesse Craig, Director of Business Development at PWCC, is today's guest. Yes, we are going to talk about some of the many things that I've talked about involving PWCC on the show. Now, the whole interview is not going to be that. I don't think that's fair either. We're going to talk about current events with PWCC, other than some of the negative ones we do hear about. And he agreed to come on. I told him I'm going to ask you questions about some of these alleged indiscretions, and he said that that's fine. And I won't say any more about the interview other than that. You can listen for yourself. Whatever feedback you want to give me pertaining to that interview, my door, as always, for any interview or anything pertaining to this show, is open. And, I'm glad Jesse came on. I'm not going to say, after the interview, my mind's necessarily changed or whatnot, but I'm glad he was, forthcoming and, didn't give me a script or anything like that. I don't operate on those terms anyway. So, let me know what you think. And also, if we've ever talked about you or your organization or alleged allegations, and you would like to come on this program to, talk about it or explain your side of things, my door is always open. I think that's just the fair thing to do. All right, that being said, let's get the show started. All right, it's time for our new product release schedule announcements, and I'm glad to say you won't be hearing me do it this week. We got the awesome Max Gocher from the Sports Card Shop at Moco. He's done it before. He's a grizzled veteran. He's back to help us out again. Let's hand it over to Max. Take it away, sir.
Hello, welcome to the Sports Card Nation podcast, and here we are back with our releases. It is Max Gocher. I will be announcing the releases for you guys today. Okay, on the 8th of October, we start off with 2021 Onyx Vintage Basketball. On the 8th of October as well, we also have 2021 Wildcard Matte Football Mega. I'm really coming to like those Wildcard boxes. Are really nice looking. Also on the 8th, we have Pokemon Celebrations Elite Trainer boxes. On the 13th, we have Topps Update Series Baseball, an interesting product. We could see some new players come up and collect some of their new rookie cards. The Panini Donruss Optic Basketball Fast Breaks are on the 13th as well. That will be an interesting one. Optic this year. This is a nice design. I like some of the parallels this year. They did a good job. Also on the 13th, we have Aluminum Star Trek Art and Images by Rittenhouse. It's a nice product as well. Another 13th release, we have Marvel Annual Trading Cards. Those Marvel cards are becoming really popular recently. And on the 15th, we have Leaf Ultimate Sports. Also on the 15th, we have Panini Donruss Football Factory Set. And on the 15th, again, we have Panini Donruss Optic Choice Baseball. That's going to be a cool product. Another 15th release, we have Panini Origins Football International Blasters. And the last release on the 15th is 2021 Topps WWE Chrome. Those WWE cards are pretty cool. Thank you again, John, for having me, and enjoy the rest of the podcast.
The Sports Card Shop is your small-town local card shop with a global reach. Located in New Buffalo, Michigan, the shop is one of the most accessible in the Midwest. In addition to being an authorized Panini direct dealer, the Sports Card Shop carries all major trading card brands, including Topps, Upper Deck, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and more. With all that new wax, 500,000 singles, and showcases full of graded cards, you're sure to find something great for your collection, whether you're just starting out or a seasoned collector. The Sports Card Shop is your one-stop shop. So call us, come see us, or visit us on the web and social media. Our phone number is 269-469-0140. Website is thesportscardshop@moco.com. The Sports Card Shop is part of the Moco Retail Group, connecting sports, the hobby, and people around the world.
It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
All right, so you did and won't hear Jesse Craig, and it didn't come up during this interview. They've just been a $224 million civil class action lawsuit has been filed against them pertaining to the shill bidding allegations. Wasn't talked about on the show today because it's an ongoing litigation, actually very early stages, and if you know anything about legalese, you can't discuss kind of current cases like that beforehand, so it's not anything we're dodging or ducking questions. It's just pretty fresh, brand new, and you just can't discuss those things, and so you won't hear that. But that lawsuit has been filed. What is a class action civil lawsuit? Well, if you think you're affected by it, you've purchased a card from the PWCC platform and believe that shill bidding affected you and your purchase, you can add your name to that lawsuit. I don't believe there's any fees for that. If there's either an out-of-court settlement or a finding in the plaintiff's behalf, being the people, not PWCC, you will be awarded some form of compensation to be determined. There's no guarantee with these. A lot of these don't even make it to trial. Sometimes they're dismissed. Sometimes they're settled out of court. So very early stages, but I wanted to allude to that. It's making the news, but why we didn't touch on it during the interview itself. Some Topps news. They're going on with business as usual. They just released their second series of NFTs based on their, in-hand product, but these are NFTs. And they just announced they got the exclusive rights to Nippon Professional League, a Japanese 12-team professional league, obviously in Japan. It's the first time in their 80-year history they're producing Japanese cards for the entire league. It will happen very quickly. You're going to see cards here probably as early as 3-4 weeks. All my intel is showing that they're going to be sold on Japanese platforms, but like everything else in the world, right? The world is a small place with social media and the interwebs that Al Gore apparently created or invented. But if you do want these Japanese league cards and Nippon League cards, even here in the States, I'm sure it will be available on a lot of these secondary platforms and social media, selling sites, and the like. And again, I'm not even saying Topps doesn't make it available stateside. It's just everything I saw showed Japanese websites and platforms, but you never know. And who knows, maybe we'll see a Montgomery 582 online members exclusive pertaining to the Nippon Japanese League. So stay tuned for that. A busy month for PSA grading in September. They graded 830,000 cards reportedly, the most ever they've graded in a 30-day span. That does not mean those were all subbed and business is booming again. I'm sure they're doing okay, but these are all cards that mostly they had in their possession. I'm sure there were some express cards in there as well, full disclosure there. But they are trying to catch up on their backlog. Speaking of Topps, and it's a good segue into Michael Rubin, the CEO of Fanatics, was on Squawk Box last week. And obviously the acquisitions of the licenses came up and what their plans are. We've, up until now, we've sort of heard rumors and innuendo. This was his first publicly attributed comments by him directly. And he reiterated what we've kind of heard, that, Fanatics wants to be kind of the one-stop shop from production to grading to a vault to a marketplace, direct to consumer, and he even alluded to what a lot of people have been speculating on, that the quote most likely will be purchasing a existing card brand. Did not mention any brands or names, just was said most likely. So read into that what you will. But there it is now, right from the horse's mouth, as they say. So stay tuned. Again, this is going to be a story that just keeps gaining traction in the years to come until they actually have to produce something. The Industry Summit, held in Vegas, announced it's moving. Not from Vegas. They're going to stay in Vegas. But the event will now take place at Harrah's. And the card show will be returning. The card show will be September 30th to October 1st, 2 days. And then the summit will be the 2nd to the 5th of October, October 2nd to October 5th at Harrah's. They just completed a $200 million renovation. And they secured some rooms at Caesar's Palace directly across the street, some more space. So it looks like the Industry Summit may be preparing to get a little bit larger in scope, probably in attendees and vendors. And I've never been. I do plan on going at some point, but I heard it's a great event, kind of living vicariously through others who have attended. So there's your hobby news. Not a slow week by any means, and we'll see what what continues to happen. The hobby is ever changing.
Hey everybody, have you heard about Collectible? It's the one-stop shop where any collector can buy and trade affordable shares in some of the most rare and valuable sports cards and memorabilia in the world, starting from just $5. From 1952 Mickey Mantle PSA 10s and Wilt Chamberlain's iconic rookie uniform to one-of-one Patrick Mahomes RPAs, rare LeBron James logo mats, and everything in between, Collectible is creating never-before-seen access and opportunities for investing in the hobby. Just download the app and sign up with the referral code SCN to get your first share free. Please note this is not a recommendation or solicitation to buy any security. All investment decisions should be undertaken after doing your own research.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
All right, another question on this segment that came from multiple folks, not just one person, so I can't give necessarily one person credit for asking it, but just a few people have inquired, tops, if you're a Montgomery Club 582 member, you get those exclusive offers. Well, 3 or 4 people have reached out that are also in it, like myself, and basically asked me to kind of paraphrase this and, putting all the questions kind of into one question. Have I noticed prices kind of gone up from what they traditionally would be at, and they're starting to, shipping used to be free with SmartPost, and now it's, usually $10 to $15 minimum. They asked, number one, have I noticed that? Number two, am I still buying everything that's offered to me as a Montgomery 582 member? A couple of those folks have said they've bypassed some things, including the recent Bowman X, which is not Bowman X Chrome, which is not graded like it used to be. It's an encased card at a hefty price tag. One card, $175. I will not argue the logic, whether that's a good deal. When compared to past year's releases, it's not. And but to answer your question, I have noticed, and I have bought every Montgomery Club offering, exclusive offering, that I've logged on and was still available. I'm trying to think. I haven't declined anything. One of the reasons why is I really don't open any of that, or very rare, unless I get like multiple boxes. And lately, the Montgomery Club offerings have been sort of a one-box offering. There's exceptions to that. Major League Soccer Sapphire was 3 boxes, which I did buy the 3 boxes. I don't have them in hand yet. But one of the reasons I'm buying them is because they generally resell for higher amounts, and then usually the longer you hold them, the higher that price is. Again, nothing's guaranteed in life, but that's generally been the trend. But obviously, as they raise those exclusive price offerings, that ceiling is lower, right? I get it, and I don't blame anyone for not purchasing or declining. I understand fully why. I haven't done that. My kind of theory, and that's all, my kind of gut feeling is worst case scenario, I should be able to sell that item, that box, that set, whatever the offering is, at least pretty close to what I paid for. Even if it's a little less, it shouldn't be a tremendous amount less. So it's really, I hate to say it like this and jinx anything, but it's really almost a can't lose. But I fully understand why, and I'll just use Bowman Chrome X as an example. You don't want to pay $175 for one card. I get it. It's definitely not going to be something I open. That's going to be something I keep sealed, whether I sell it right away or later on or whatnot. I don't know. But I haven't declined anything yet as of this recording. My intent is not to. But again, depending on how high these exclusive offering prices go. What someone else asked me too, kind of putting all these questions into addressing this as one big question. Someone asked me, why do I think their prices have went up? I think it's probably an obvious answer, right? They're not going to be able to do some of these offerings here most likely in a couple years, and I think they're going to strike while the iron's hot, right? Let's be honest. The other question too: will Montgomery Club 582 go away when they lose their license? Maybe not, but they're going to probably either offer retired player exclusives, right? Your Manals, now that he's back in the fold, Jeter, maybe some things along those lines. Obviously, they still have the soccer license, so you might see, you'll still see all those soccer offerings. Another great question is, when they lose some of these licenses, will people still sign up for the Montgomery Club offering? I think there'll be less, truth be told. To ask myself that question, I guess it depends on what that club membership price goes to. Does it stay the same? Does it go up? If it probably goes up, it'd probably be something I think about with not having some current baseball players in those products. Probably might have to step down or not do it. But someone will say, even if it stays the same, John, you're not gonna. The value might not be there. I guess it's one of those when the time, the old saying, right? Cross that bridge when we come to it. So my intent is to try to stay a member of the Montgomery 582 Club as long as they do it. But again, you got to do it when it makes sense. If it starts to not make sense, then unfortunately, I have a decision to make, and losing those licensing here in a few years is definitely an obvious game changer, not just in their regular flagship brands, but even some of these exclusive club offerings. And so it's going to be, it's early to really dive too deep into that, but those are just some of the questions I sort of get on a almost every week basis. I wanted to kind of wrap it all up into one. So hope that answers some of that stuff.
Sports Card Nation, it's now time to chop it up with our featured guest on the one card shop guest line. Let's go!
All right, joining me now on the Sports Card Nation guest line, Mr. Jesse Craig. He's the Director of Business Development at PWCC. First off, welcome.
Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
Full disclosure, I know I talked to you briefly before we really went recording here. I've been critical, of allegations that allegedly, we got to use that word, involving PWCC. It first came to light, you joined the company in 2018. Some of these were allegations were you. First we heard, or I heard of them, and it was 2016. We all know about the blowout forms detective agency. I think that's, it can be good. It can be bad. Some of the allegations then were with shill bidding. There were some emails brought to light. We could debate the authenticity of them. With Brent, supposedly the sender of them, then some doctored cards that were knowingly or allegedly knowingly sold. I remember going to the 2019 National, to say it didn't affect what was going on there. I kind of, that was people posting pictures and the like and whatnot. There's two sides. I was always raised, Jesse, there's two sides to every story. Now we have recently the whole eBay. Everyone kind of, we don't have to go into minute details. eBay versus PWCC, if you want to, if I want to coin it like that. Again, shill bidding, sort of the accusation. I've been critical. I've always said if this is true, it's not good. I hope there's penalties, repercussions, whatever those are. I'm not judge, jury, or executioner. It's not for me to determine what those are, but I've been in this hobby. I'm an old guy, so I've been in this hobby 38 years. I like to believe I've done everything above board, even as a seller myself. And listen, things are going to happen. I'm not naive. I think most people aren't. So I've kind of rambled on just off of what I said. I'll give you a chance to respond. And before you do, I appreciate you coming on. I've always said on my show, if I can say things, if someone went on their show and said John did this or John did that and it wasn't true, I'd like the opportunity to address those things, whatever they may be. So
sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, John. I do appreciate it. The whole eBay thing, I think the most frustrating thing for us is the fact that we have tried to do so much as a company. And I know firsthand being here, I can't speak a lot to things that happened before I came at the company, but since I've been here, I know for a fact that we have done a ton to try to get eBay to change their own policies, their own procedures to clean up, what people do call shill bidding, which is, the majority of the time it's really market manipulation. I think the word shill bidding and market manipulation kind of get coupled in together. But I know for a fact that we've done a ton with them to try and combat that, have them block IP addresses for people who don't pay, remove bid retractions and those kind of things, which they finally did. And we have 5 years of emails with eBay of us trying to get them to stop doing that. So a lot of buyer verification, a lot of shill bidding. These are things that we don't tolerate. So the frustrating thing with eBay is when they made the claims they did, we wanted to see the evidence and the proof that employees or, like they said, associates, whoever that may be, whether those are sellers of ours or employees or contractors, we wanted to see who it was and how it happened. And to this day, we still have received nothing from eBay.
All right, why? But so I guess my follow-up question to that, Jesse, would be why? What benefit would they have to do that? I mean, you're obviously a huge seller, a huge force in the industry. That stuff's not deniable. That's just being honest about it. What angle would why would they do that? I guess assuming that isn't true.
Right. Well, I mean, you leave us with the same question. We don't know. Now everyone's left to speculate, right? So we're speculating on what it could be. Is it that they saw the writing on the wall from a competition perspective? I don't know. That could be it. The Premier auction had been doing very well. But even before we built the Premier auction, we got their blessing to do it. So we're left a little perplexed and confused as well. Just to be honest with you, we don't really know.
Okay. The other thing I've said on this very show when that news broke, I said, if I'm PWCC and this is bull crap, to tone it down a little bit, I'm contacting our lawyers, me speaking as you guys, and whether it's defamation, libel, slander, whatever it qualifies for, I'm going to in turn respond. If someone even as an individual, just as a dealer, podcaster, whatever, if someone says something to that level, kind of besmirching my reputation or trying to, I'm going to defend it to the ends that I'm able to. Obviously, you're a bigger force than I am. Why not do that? To say, hey, this is not true, and we're going to go to the mat to prove that it's not true.
Yeah, see, lawsuits are they're a tricky game. Going up against a beast that is eBay, to be honest with you. So we're vetting with our lawyers on the appropriate action that we need to take. But trust me, we don't take it lightly. We completely deny anything they said. And like I've mentioned before, show us the proof, show us what it is. It's frustrating for us that we've had the relationship we've had with eBay for so long, and all of a sudden, they can't even come talk to us behind closed doors that something is going on. You need to address this. And we didn't get that from them whatsoever. So it felt emotional, but we don't know why they did what they did still to this day.
So you got crickets from them? Nothing? No.
Nothing.
email, phone call, any kind of documentation?
We did learn that this was coming. We didn't know they were going to send out an email to everybody, but we learned that it was coming less than 24 hours before that email went out. So we had a little bit of a heads up, but I mean that was it.
And since that announcement or whatever, that press release that they put out, you've heard no correspondence.
Nothing from them. So, and we've asked. So we're forced to put our head down, start building. Obviously, our entire business, a lot of our operations, our accounting, everything was wrapped up around eBay and a third-party software. So it was scary for us. Honestly, the day after that happened, we had to look internally and figure out what we were going to do. And it went from being scared to being excited that, well, now all these things we've been beating our head against the wall with for years with eBay, trying to get them to change things. And to their defense, as much as I don't want to defend them, being a big company with that much code and that much old code, it's not easy to change things. So things that we wanted to get done with them and have them change things, that it just always was extremely difficult. And now that we're on our own platform, we control everything. So we get to build everything from scratch and control everything. And that's what we're really excited about.
Yeah. Just to kind of wrap it up, even going not the eBay thing, but the previous allegations with doctored cards, trim cards, knowingly. Now I know PWCC, the people that were involved in that were banned. I mean, but there are people that will say, well, you can ban them afterwards, but you kind of knew what was going on. And when I say you, I'm not saying you personally, just the company as a whole, that, you got rid of them, kind of, you got caught and then you banned them, but that it was knowingly going on. I guess my question to you is, to answer that. And with that being said, and again, I'll let you address that. Have you enacted any new policies internally to because of allegations to ensure that these don't keep popping up, continuously? Obviously, I don't think anyone in the hobby likes them. I'm sure you don't, especially saying that they're not accurate. So, sort of a two-part question to those saying that it was a knowing thing, and have you enacted any kind of policies to for the future to sort of eliminate this before it becomes an issue?
Yeah, I think, our industry as a whole was kind of the wild, wild west leading up to a few years ago, to be honest with you. I think there was a lot of stuff that just got swept under the rug, and, whether it's one auction house or another, everybody sold stuff at one place or the other. And, as a company, we always tried to police cards and not people. We felt like that was a more appropriate thing to do, because you don't know, what's been done to a card. We're not a third-party grading company. We don't have any idea. So, accusations are one thing, but proof is another. And, what the forums did that was really good is these before and after pictures. They really showed that proof that you need to prove whether a card had been altered or not. So, I don't think they went about doing it in the right way with a lot of personal attacks for people. I think that's a little bit over the line, just personally. But what they did is they helped really clean the industry up. So kudos to them for that. And I think we're where we're at today because of it. I think that if that didn't happen back in 2018 or 19, whenever that started, I don't know if our market could be where it is today. I think that it takes, confidence from an investor standpoint and a collector standpoint that what they're buying is legit and authentic and not altered. And, the work that they did really helped that. So for that, we're thankful that it did happen. As a company, we have our marketplace guarantee, our marketplace tenants. We have, cards we had nothing to do with. We have refunded and taken care of so many buyers of ours. And it's cost us a lot to do that. But we felt like it was right for the market to gain that confidence back with all the buyers out there. And so as far as I know, we're the only auction house in the entire industry that has a marketplace guarantee and a buyback guarantee.
Okay. I'm not going to, I appreciate you coming on and being transparent, just for those listening to this. I really wasn't given, hey, don't ask this, don't ask that during this interview. Again, I don't want this interview to be just that. That's not how I operate. Regardless of what whoever believes, one thing is true is PWCC is a huge force right now in the industry. I want to get into that for sure, and I'm sure you do as well. I want to take a real quick break to hear from one of our great sponsors, 101 Card Shop, but we'll be right back with more with Jesse Craig.
What doesn't 101 Card Shop do? From box, case, and personal breaks, there's always fire being pulled. They offer bulk grading subs, and their large store located in Strongsville, Ohio, offers an incredible selection of sports cards, non-sports, and authentic autographed memorabilia. Steve and family will treat you right. Check them out on Instagram at 1of1 Card Shop or on the web at 1of1cardshop.com.
Sports Card Nation is back with Jesse Craig. You came from the financial, the real estate sort of things into the hobby, not unfamiliar territory. People in today's hobby like to compare the hobby, the sports card hobby, to other markets, whether it be Wall Street, real estate, you name the sort of niche, there's always that sort of parallel. As someone who's worked in both sectors, I mean, do you draw any comparisons to either or?
Yeah, totally. First of all, it's kind of your standard economics. It's supply and demand. Same thing with housing, same thing with cards. A lot of the skills I learned in the housing market translated to really help me more on a private sale perspective. We've had some very noteworthy private sales and some record-breaking private sales. And I think that, how to handle those relationships and the negotiations, just like with real estate, that really came into play when doing a lot of those, behind the scenes private deals. So, I would say that the trading card market is closer to, I would say, your traditional stocks and those kind of things more than housing, but there are corollaries for sure.
One little bit of a segue too. Has what happened affected you in a negative fashion? Even though you're doing very well as a company, like you said, some record-breaking auctions, no doubt. I mean, sort of the fallout for some of these allegations and past things that with the company's name in it. Like, has there been? I mean, is there something visible or something you can quantitate to that at all?
Yeah, I think anytime you have negative press that comes out, doesn't do your company any good. So you feel it in one way or another. I do believe that people who have done business with us for a long time, they really know how we operate. They understand what's probably true and what's probably not. And so we have a very good following. We have a really good core with us. When the eBay news dropped recently, we had competitors kind of sending out emails going after vault items for a lot of our users. And we saw very, very, very little leave. Our vault is, the total value of our vault is higher than what it was when the eBay news dropped just over a month ago. So I think that shows you that, a lot of our clients are loyal and, they know that we're not going to do anything to jeopardize that. So we have been affected, but we're more excited now than ever for where we're going to be.
And it's funny you mentioned that, Jesse. I remember, like you said, the day after that statement from eBay, some of the other big players, if you will, trying to smell a little blood in the water, to use an analogy. Sure. I think it just it shows you a little bit of the cutthroat in the hobby as well. It is a business, whether people like that or not. I always say, you may not do it for that reason, and that's fine. But it is. I mean, we're seeing these deals. We'll talk a little bit maybe on the Fanatics side of recent events. Yeah. But to say that the sports card hobby industry isn't big business, you're fooling yourself, and it is. Now, we don't have to. Whoever's partaking and enjoying the hobby doesn't have to do it. Sure. For that reason, but to say otherwise is not being truthful about it. So, you mentioned, like you said, you had let eBay know, hey, we're going to be launching our own platform here. You said they were fine with it. Do you think there's any, assuming these allegations are false, as you said, you think there was any sour grapes maybe on their part? Maybe that's a factor to the statement at all? I have to ask.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, look, like I said, it's speculation. So, maybe they saw the writing on the wall that the Premier Auction had been very successful. And, we all know that eBay is not a great platform to sell items over maybe like 25 or 50K. And because you can't get extended bidding, you can't have those kind of things. And that was our argument to them when we were building the platform, was like, hey, we need an avenue to give extended bidding to our higher end clients because, we're losing assets because of that. And that's when they allowed us to create our own platform. So I shouldn't say allowed us, we ran it by them. It was more of a ask for forgiveness and not permission kind of thing. But it worked out great. And, the Premier Auction was very successful. So like I said, maybe they saw the writing on the wall that we could do the same thing with lower end items and create a new platform. What a lot of people don't realize too, is our rates with eBay were they were better than anybody on eBay. And so eBay's revenue off of us was probably a lot less than people think it is. So it might not have been as much of a financial hit for them to cut the ties with us. And, I've seen them come out with some new trading card platform things on eBay recently. And, they wanted to partner with us on our vault. And we actually backed out of that partnership because we didn't feel like what they wanted to do aligned with what we wanted to do. So, it's one of those things where you don't know if it was competition because we haven't gotten any information. So we're just kind of left to speculate.
Yeah. Talk about, so now, you've got your own platform where you can do kind of different things. Then you're not relegated to someone above you, like, delegating or telling you this is how it's going to be. Talk about the difficulties of launching. I mean, that's quite an endeavor to talk about the difficulties and even though it's successful, people think it's, people don't realize maybe the work and effort that goes into that.
It's a lot of work. We have an 11-person dev team. So those guys, they work day and night. When we built the Premier Auction, that was slower over time. Obviously, once eBay cut the cord last month, we were forced to start building immediately. And with the dev team we have, luckily we're able to put our fixed price marketplace back up within 2 weeks. So that was live on our website, and we've had over 3 million in sales in just a few weeks on there, which is almost similar to what we were doing on eBay. It's about 70-75% of what we're doing on eBay. So I think it goes to show as well that we've captured a lot of the captive, buyers and sellers on eBay over the years, right? Like they're already users of ours. And so, but the big missing piece is that monthly auction. That monthly auction is not an easy thing to replicate. Selling 35,000 cards a month is what we were doing on eBay. And our October one that's launching is over 40,000. So that software is unique. It's going to be a little bit different. We're launching it on the 7th is the launch date for our new auction. And it's actually patent pending, the software. So we have what we believe is the only real way to close that much quantity in a short amount of time, because we're going to be closing the auction over 5 total nights. On eBay, it used to be 15 or so, but we're going to do all of baseball in one night now, all of basketball in one night, and so on and so forth. And it might be up to 10,000 cards in one night. And we have the software now where we believe we can close all those and give our clients extended bidding, even on less expensive cards.
By doing the sports on specific days, or in this case, nights, that way someone who's a collector of those sports knows that particular day applies to that sport. It gives, I'm assuming that's one of the main goals of that is to look forward to basketball is this day, baseball is this day, football, and so on. And pretty smart when you really simplify it to that level. Going to step away from a real quick break to hear from our great sponsors, Pastime Marketplace. We'll be right back after that.
Pastime Marketplace has a line of graded card cases that are waterproof, airtight, dust-tight, and hardened to protect and organize your valuable collection. Each of our cases come with pre-cut and pre-formed foam, so you don't have to cut and tear the foam when you get your case. The pre-cut foam inserts are sized to hold PSA, Beckett, SGC, and CGS slabs. Store it all safely and securely with a case from Pastime Marketplace. Check them out at www.pastimemarketplace.com.
We are back with Jesse Craig. When eBay sort of pulled the plug, you had listings on the site. How did you handle that? I mean, they literally, it's like a hospital machine, and they turn it off. Like,
yeah, it was a mess. I'll be honest with you. It was a mess because we weren't expecting it, right? So we had in the August monthly auction, we had 2 nights that were that had already closed, and it was still in baseball, which is like the earlier part of our auction, and they shut it off, and it was. I mean, we're trying to figure out what the hell to do on our end, right? Like it wasn't straightforward. We didn't have any processes or procedures in place for this. So, kudos to our operations team and our logistics team for figuring it all out. But we pulled all the stuff back. We talked to all of our consigners, and we said, hey, look, you guys, we're happy to send these back to you if you need to sell them. We can stick them in your vault as well, or you can push them to when we believe we'll have our own monthly auction up and running, which is October. And so there was a blend. Some people were like, yeah, I really need the money, and if you guys don't have an avenue to sell it, the less expensive stuff, I'm going to want it back. And that was fine. We're not going to hold a gun to anybody's head. So we sent stuff back to people. Some stuff went to people's vault to kind of just see when the time came if they want to sell in October. And then some people were like, oh, yeah, just put it in your new platform. And so we have that 40,000 plus cards that we have in October. A little over 20,000 of that came from that August, September auctions that we didn't have on eBay. But the cool thing for us as a company that shows you the following that we have, almost half of those cards came in for the October auction after the eBay news, when our clients don't even know what our auction is going to look like, right? So the trust that our clients have in us and what we can build is honestly pretty flattering. And so that's why we have such a big auction in October.
So if I was a bidder on one or multiple of those auctions, what happened? Those things get rescinded, and then if I'm still interested in the item, I have to go on, obviously, on the PWCC Your Auction platform. Did you get any information? Were you able to let those bidders know, like, hey, we know you were bidding on it. eBay pulled this plug. We're going to hopefully move this. It's obviously up to, like you said, the consignor, but assuming they're okay, this item's still going to be available. Were you able to, could you track what that bid was at, or did you kind of have to?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't do that because on eBay you actually don't get the information of the buyer unless they win the item, right? You can see the username. But then we'd have to go into our system and see if that username has purchased from us before, and then we could do it. So we didn't really do that. If the item had closed, it had closed, and we went through the paying process on that for the couple nights that had closed. But then outside of that, we just started moving forward. And look, like I said, we believe we've captured the majority of real buyers and sellers on eBay for the last 20 years. And I think the confidence that our clients have in us for all the items that we have in October, I think that's a testament to that as well.
Do you know what correspondence maybe the bidders received? I mean, obviously their bids in. Do you know what did they receive to let them know, hey, this item is not going to be sold literally in the middle of an auction?
I don't. That's an eBay thing. Like I said, we don't have all the buyers' information, so I think they probably got just the standard, like, hey, this item has ended or ended early or whatever the email is that eBay sends out when that happens.
Yeah. And so you, like you said, your team had to quickly pivot, and you were ready. We're in building it. It was already in the works, but it just got intensified, ramped up. And
if we didn't have the Premier Auction going, because the Premier Auction, that auction software is the foundation for us building this monthly auction, right? So the foundation of that was critical for us to be able to get this auction up and running in October. If we didn't even have that, it'd probably take us another couple months to really get it dialed in.
All right, so I've already said you don't need my stamp of approval as far as being a big force in the hobby, setting some auction records. unless you're under a rock, you know the latest news with Fanatics and licensing. I got to ask you, as someone involved as you are in the hobby, like your personal stuff, good, bad. How do you? I mean, we're years away from really seeing anything produced yet, but you know how this hobby is. Every 2-3 hours is a news cycle. Kind of, Jesse, your own person, like, how do you think this plays out? Do you see maybe, Fanatics actually, Michael Rubin, the CEO this morning, was on a financial show and basically said they kind of want to be a one-stop shop. From selling, shipping, grading, their own vault themselves. They want to kind of be a one-stop shop, jack of all trades, if you will. That's a big order to fill. They're not new. They're not a new company, but they're sort of new to producing cards on their own. There's depending on who you believe. Some are saying they're not really interested in maybe buying or purchasing Topps, Panini, or anyone else. And then then there's rumors or whatever that they would consider purchasing a brand if the opportunity arises. Kind of, just someone who's got their finger on the pulse. I mean, how do you see this? Again, it's all speculation. It's like picking a football game and picking a winner. And, we're going to miss most, some of them. But I mean, is it good? I mean, as someone.
Yeah, I'm a little mixed, to be honest with you. I think there's some things that, from the news and what we've gathered, like you said, we can only assume. But I think that them trying to keep it all in-house, build a vault, do a sales channel, all these things, I mean, that makes total sense. If I were Fanatics, I would try to do the same thing, right? I'm hoping for the industry and the hobby's perspective that they do a good job with the design aspect of it, right? That's the game-used nature of it, not this event-worn crap or whatever, right? Like, let's get some real, because that's why, for me, I believe in the industry, flawless basketball is so undervalued because it's actually game-used items and NT is not. So, I think that those are really important details when valuing a card, and I just don't understand why NT is worth so much more than flawless, especially when on a box-per-box basis, flawless is actually more expensive. So, it's just weird to me, but it's kind of a little bit of a tangent. It's important for me that people start thinking about stuff like that too, because when you change manufacturers and you have Fanatics come out, they're going to do it one way or they're going to do it another, and either it's all going to probably be game used or it's not. And I know that timing affects that when you release different products, and depending on the seasonality of it, being able to have those specific products have game used or just event worn. But the design nature of it's going to be important. What I think they did do that was really smart is get the players involved and get the players associations involved, because now what you have is hopefully these guys actually care. You look at a guy like Rui Hachimura's autograph and it looks like a freaking check mark. He took
He's
literally
not the only one. In Rui's defense, there's a lot of bad ones, but I agree with you.
That was just the first one that came to mind. But yeah, you got Miles Bridges and Lonzo Ball signing some cards together and stuff like that. It's you just hope that there's more care and more time. I'm a guy who I love a good autograph. Some of my favorite autographs are Roberto Clemente, Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter. Guys that look like they spent more than a half a second autographing a card. And I think it also carries value for the collector, the investor, because when you have a bigger autograph, there's more room for streaks, there's more room for this and that. So when you get a 10 auto from some of these guys, you can get a higher return, and your assets can be worth more money, and it really separates one auto from the next. So I'm hoping from that regard that they brought the player associations in. The players are going to care more. When they send them the cards to autograph, they're going to handle them better. All of us know how frustrating it is when you pull a good card out of a brand new product and it's a beat to hell because so-and-so handled it probably improperly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping that all of that leads to better quality, a better quality product really for the end consumer.
Yeah, maybe less redemptions as well. We know how people love redemptions. But you make a great point, Jesse. Now they have sort of a stake in the game. They're sort of a real partner. That was the one thing I've said on this show. There is something I'll point to that I'm hopeful for. It's that because these players are now more involved, having equity in the brand, in the product, they're going to care more about it. I don't want to maybe take it more serious is not the right wording, but be a little more hands-on and like you said, handle them better with care. We won't get some of the defects and condition-sensitive stuff, and we'll see. Time for another quick break. This time we're going to hear from our great sponsor, Iron Sports Cards, for all your grading needs.
Iron Sports Cards is your number one source for all your PSA and other grading submissions. Their elite status improves turnaround time. Heck, they even provide the card savers. Their chat rooms provide updates on all your submissions. They also offer wax options and single cards to cover all the bases. Check them out on Facebook at Iron Sports Cards Group or on the web at ironsportscards.com. Or even give them a call at 1-877-IRON-PSA. Rob's got you covered.
All right, Sports Card Nation is back with Jesse Craig from PWCC. The one thing, 20 years to me, though, and just as to me is a long time to issue anybody a license for,
especially somebody that hasn't done it before.
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure there's some fine print in there where the contract maybe could be voided for protection before that, but that's what's been announced, that these are 20-year deals. And when I heard that, I just thought that's too long. Why? Like you said, this is someone who hasn't officially done it on this level yet. What about 5 years? And if everything goes well, then just make it 10 or 20 years. Why do you give someone sort of a blank check of 20 years? And that's the one thing that kind of scares me is, with people in their jobs, right? It's sort of dated. You don't do your job, you can be out of a job. And so, but if you tell someone, hey, basically you're going to have a job for 20 years, almost no matter what, you sort of take, you know what I mean? You sort of take the onus off to, I'm not saying
the
Fanatics
pressure,
is,
right?
Yeah, I'm not saying Fanatics is going to think like that. Obviously not. I mean, they also paid a lot of money for the licensing too. So the performance is going to be based on that as well. But I just thought that's a long time, like you said, for a company that's never done it on this scale. I would have liked to see maybe, playing armchair and go, 5 years, even 10 years, I would have still said that's a long time, let alone.
Yeah, you mentioned the fine print. And so I'm wondering if there is some kind of clause in there that allows the leagues to get out if they feel like, that they're not doing a good job.
Yeah, I would hope so, especially in a 20-year contract.
Sure. Yeah, that's got to be in there. That's got to be in there.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would think so too. I'm an old school guy, man. Almost 40 years in the hobby.
That's awesome.
I know Topps can be their own worst enemy too, and there's some culpability. But for me, I'm a kid from Brooklyn, New York, birthplace of Topps. So there's always a sentiment, I'm sentimental there. Like I said, I'm not going to blindly say they didn't drop the ball and maybe leave this door open. I think that's, actually is the case.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, and you mentioned brands even on Panini's side, with great brands like Flawless, National Treasures, Prism. It's kind of sad to think potentially if there isn't some sort of agreement, a buyout, that we might not see either those brands or, in my case with Topps, those 5 letters on sports cards anymore. It's kind of a new era. Yeah, so that's I'm hoping maybe cooler heads prevail, or maybe they can come to some terms where some of these brands and can live on, even if it's under Fanatics rule or umbrella. I think, to me, too, it would be a good olive branch for my 2 cents to throw to the hobby, too. Hey, look, these are the brands you like. We're just going to do them better. Like, they're not going to really go away, but there was some mistakes made. That's why we're here, and we're here to kind of clean that up. I'll give them that. I think it would be sort of an olive branch to us in the hobby to say, hey, it's gonna be Topps brand, but we're gonna be making improvements to it. It'll be under our authority, and we think you're going to like it even better. That if you liked it before, I think you're going to like it even more now. I'd like to see that. That to me would be sort of a compromise rather than just kind of bullying their way in and then just pack up your stuff and but again, they have that power. They can. Well, it's
going to be interesting to see, because certain brands within companies do fade and die, and they stop making them, like Exquisite in 09, right? And then NT came along in 09. Flawless came around in 2012. So it'll be interesting to see if these brands that we still have today, like Flawless and NT, if they're in Prism, if they're going to last until the cutoff and then they're going to die. And if that does happen, we're going to have completely new brands from Fanatics come in, and what's going to catch everyone's eye, right? Like, value-wise, it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be kind of crazy to see if they're all new brands for these leagues, and these products aren't being made anymore across the board from a branding perspective. What's going to be the go-to? What's going to be hot? What's not? And I think that there's a big opportunity for people from investment perspective to kind of speculate and guess right what's going to carry weight long term. Because look what happens with like the kabooms lately, right? Those are everywhere. Those have gone way up in value. Those weren't super popular a year ago. They got a lot of notoriety on social, and I think people start falling in love with them a little bit. But if you guessed that right when they first came out in 2000, in the early 2012, 13, whatever it was, the early kabooms, you've made a killing. So it's having an eye for that kind of stuff where people might be able to make some serious money down the road too.
Yeah, the other thing, it'll be interesting to see what the Topps and Panini does with their remaining years. People are even speculating on that level. Do they sort of flood the market, try to cash out as much as possible? I'd like to hope not, but I'm not in that room. We'll have to see. And you mentioned like a brand like Flawless, whether or not those live on, like you said, Fanatics is probably going to be doing their own version. It'll be called something else, but I think it'll be sort of apparent that is their version of what this used to be. And it'll be interesting to see how they do it and what differences are between those sort of comparison products. And there's going to be a lot of news cycle between now and then too.
A lot.
So going back to PWCC, just to give you a kind of, as we come down the home stretch here, things on your horizon, things you want to talk about, promote, any new things or stuff you want to get out there for those listening as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Our monthly auction is it's going to launch October 7th. It'll start wrapping up on the 24th. So we're going to let it run for about a week longer than normal, just because it's the first one on our own platform, just a little bit more time to soak. So those will start closing October 24th. One thing that we don't have the ability to do right now that we did when we were on eBay is what we call our flash auction. So any assets that are in your vault, you can sell them. You can send them immediately to auction without having to wait for a monthly auction. That is going to be available, we believe, in November. So that's kind of the last piece to our auction puzzle. But we have our fixed price marketplace, the monthly auction coming. Our premier auction is launching tomorrow, the 1st. So I know when this airs, it'll be live. We have an amazing premier auction that's gonna go live tomorrow with over 200 items. Some really, really impressive stuff in there. So I'd say check that out for sure.
Give out any kind of websites, social media, anything you want to share. That way people can find that stuff.
PWCCmarketplace.com is the website. That's our Instagram handle as well, just at PWCC Marketplace. Give us a follow, check out the website, and for Premier Auction, monthly auction, if you're not, get on there and get registered, because it's all on our own platform now.
All right, sounds good. Jesse, again, I want to reiterate, I appreciate you coming on and not dodging or ducking any questions. There's the hobby's crazy. There's all sorts of stuff going on at any given moment, and I appreciate you being transparent and good with your time and coming on. So,
thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it.
We love our listeners. Without you, there is no us. We care about your opinions and feedback and invite you to reach out to us on any of our social media accounts. On Instagram at SportsCardNation Podcast, Twitter at SportsCardNati1, or email the show at SportsCardNationPC@gmail.com. We don't ask for much, but if you really like the show, give us a shout out. Tell your friends, or give us a follow on our social medias. If you enjoy the show, please give us a positive review on iTunes or any of the platforms you are listening on. Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Sports Card Nation. I want to first thank you out there who listen or download the show, no matter where that takes place. I appreciate it. We can't do this without you doing that. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Jesse Craig, for your time coming on the program today, talking about everything PWCC, not just the good stuff, but even some of the negative stuff that has been alleged. And I believe in two sides of every story. We all heard the three sides of every story, right? What you say, what I say, and then the truth, right? But whatever the case may be, came on, gave us time, and I appreciate it. Whether you believe the allegations or you don't, is something to be said about sort of, not ducking, not running, and at least talking about it and let everyone form their own opinions. As far as mine, it's like I said during that interview, kind of where there's smoke, there's fire, I believe. But there's been, truth be told, there's been no charges filed. Supposedly feds are involved, but there's been no charges filed. eBay, Jesse told you there that eBay has provided no evidence and really no communication since that decision was made. And, I don't know. But, do your research, especially when it comes to spending big money, if that's the level you play on. But I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, or I try to. And, like I said, probably not going to be spending that kind of money anyway, but they have all sorts of different levels of cards and prices. So, again, I don't know Jesse very well, but seems very, answer questions. I think he'd be accessible if you had any questions, at least even correspondence-wise, email or text or, some way you can reach him. So glad he came on and appreciate his time as well. With that being said, we'll keep this closing short and sweet, and we'll see you in a week. Take care. Be good. We'll talk at you again soon.
That's a wrap on another edition of the Sports Card Nation podcast. Thank you to all the awesome listeners out there. Without you, there is no us. Thank you to all our great guests who drive this show, and also our wonderful sponsors who help us produce the great hobby content every week. Remember, another Hobby Quick Hits episode drops every Monday, and Sports Card Nation returns again next Friday. If you like the shows, we appreciate those positive reviews. Be well, and always remember, the hobby is the people.